There's always a Chad.
Okie dokie. Alright, let's start. Let's get this show on the road. Right. New game. Yes.
Once upon a time, the infamous rover Reynardo plundered the floating isles. Then his mother called him to her deathbed. "Swear to me that you won't die on the gallows," she rasped. Reluctantly, he swore. And he whiled away his days at home with music, cards, and wine. But the Emperor had changed. He'd been good once, a shy, almost humble toad. He'd built universities. Then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books, so they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships, The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion. And Reynardo had promised his mother he'd protect him.
Alright. Protect the boy.
The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. Sorry, kid, Reynardo told the kid. Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone. My mother died for this book! I promised her I'd protect you. Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Reynardo had to run after him.
Alright. Peter.
The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner. Which probably was what was in their tiny brains. Hey, Reynardo said. They cocked their heads at him. Pick on someone as ugly as you. Wait, that didn't come out right. For the Emperor! The ravens cawed and rushed at him.
Through the only reason that the game is kind of long.
A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid.
Oof.
Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship Docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through? Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels, or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere, and neither are you. Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero's sword. And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid.
What?
He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Reynardo going to get a hero sword?
I wonder.
Ore and wind essence? That sounds about right. Perfect.
Sword crafting. Alright.
A hero sword. QED.
Got a big sword. Yes.
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Reynardo's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid. He came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. How'd you get across? He asked the kid. Where'd you find a hook? I hopped, said the kid. Oh, wise-ass kid. Hey, look out behind you! Cute, said Reynardo. Ah, ravens.
Wow.
It was time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
Ah, yes. Very
It was
basic.
starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kester run in 12 furlongs. Oh, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush. "Stop!" he shouted. "I'm not giving you the book!" shouted the kid, and took off. "No! Peter!" But the kid ran for it, and a goggler nailed him with its eye-beam.
Oh, yikes. Ow. How about we don't do that?
The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it. Why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Reynardo picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway.
Strip boxes. Oh. But
He got what he deserved. He didn't listen.
What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All
he's
that
gonna
had been
open it.
years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him. "Where are you running, rebel?" cawed the Raven captain over the loud hailer. Reynardo could see them cranking up their catapults. "Just going out for milk?" Reynardo yelled back. "Where can you run?" laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job. "Take us to the rebel base! I will spare your life!" it cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time, unless Reynardo could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Reynardo had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lupino had sent Reynardo a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Reynardo could only rescue him. Reynardo dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lupino or the Sky Ripper?
Alright.
Lupino, the Sky Ripper.
I'll read this, let's see.
Can't make new old friends. Wow. Rebellion was out of time, and Reynardo needed a game changer, even though Lupino wasn't what anyone would consider a game changer. He could come up with some harebrained schemes. Maybe rescuing him was worth it. Or an ancient artifact that defeated the Lost Gods would indeed be a game changer. Though it was split into 2 pieces many years ago, Reynardo could rebuild it by first getting its armature. So what's it gonna be? You want to save an old friend? Or you want to get a god-killing weapon?
Alright, you're gonna die.
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This Emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Reynardo could fathom.
Not rescuing it.
But if he could find the legendary weapon, he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Reynardo could not help but feel a tinge of guilt. He'd left Lapino behind. He hoped the Mad Rabbit had somehow escaped the Ravens. He hoped they hadn't eaten him. If they had, he hoped they hadn't eaten him alive. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Reynardo never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it? If he ever had a castle, he was going to hide his stuff better.
Wait, that's just a dead end? That sucks. Another chest.
This chest was really horrible. Get it?
Stop. Look, little Inukshuk. I think that's what it's called. A long set of stairs there. Right. Oh yeah, gems. Yeah. But I don't think got any. Nope. Attack speed. Elemental treasure. I think. I know. Oh wait. How much stuff? Need more ore. Need wind. Have no fire essence. But yeah, there's this sword, and when you upgrade it, it heals you. And then there's this sword, and when you upgrade it, it does like a bunch of fire damage. And this one, if you upgrade it, it freezes people. And then this one, once upgraded, it has really fast attacks. Pretty dope, pretty dope. Goggles. Oh wait, that's not the attack button.
These things could really use a hand.
Stop. Stop it, Reynardo. And then those, so like there's different doors. And then the blue ones need the ice sword. The purple one needs that like
The people
purple
who had built
sword.
this castle,
And
did
then
they even
fire
know
sword.
what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the lost gods, thousands of thousands had died. But Reynardo had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
Wow.
Hero Wall, Hero Sword, Ice Wall, Ice Cube. blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
Yeah, there's like some funny lines, like I think. God. Pretty sure if you do this, he says something. Fine, you're not gonna say anything? Now I just look like a fool. That's how you get here. Truth behind the Skyripper is shrouded in thick fog. The most believable tale is that the Transcendent Emperor has used the Skyripper to banish Iblis. Then the TE buried the weapon. Oh, Transcendent Emperor buried the weapon, vanished. Was it a self-imposed exile to rid the world of its last divine presence, or was it the price to pay for using such a tremendous power? Could the Skyripper and Iblis have a deeper connection than just a weapon and its victims? My rituals will summon the Iblis Stone. Perhaps I should worry that they will also cause the Skyripper to resurface. If that is the case, I should spare no resources to find it. A weapon that can banish a god is an invaluable bargaining chip. Should the old ones decide to double-cross me, it is in their nature to try. But gods are predictable, and I can rely on that to always be one step ahead. Emperor Isengrim III, a secret journal. So secret anymore. Wow. Came here only to be blocked off. Gotta go back. Hey, listen, the narrator says some funny things when you like... Okay, I'm gonna try it again.
Have you ever felt you were just going round in circles? Bernardo felt like that.
There you go. Go away.
Well, the eyes have had it.
Stop. Stop that right now. We're not dead. Over here. No. I'm dying.
Ah, a puzzle. Bernardo loved puzzles. Except he couldn't figure them out. On the other hand, if there was a puzzle, it was probably meant to keep people away from something good.
That was a really easy puzzle. Ow, they just fell off. Well, that's just ridiculous. Hey yo. This is the only thing I can unlock.
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot. Like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Alright.
There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart, a core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
Okay. Alright, maybe he should go to see Zenobia, who had just invaded a city nearby. She was the Emperor's adopted daughter and greatest general, but she was also his old friend. Reynardo didn't know why, but he felt the urge to go see her. The only reason one would seek the armature was to build a legendary weapon that had once banished the lost gods. Obviously, Reynardo should go get the core. What's it gonna be? Finish the core or go to Zenobia? The obvious choice or the unpredictable one? Alright.
It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core. He looked up at the old trees around him. They were so big and so old. They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he confronting his own unimportance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares? He was plenty important. He was a hero, and soon he'd prove it. I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Reynardo.
Wow.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Where did that go to? There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest, the mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
Run faster. Maximum health. Countering does damage. Slow time after a counter. Attack immediately when the previous attack hits to land a perfect strike. Okay. What do you think? What do you think? Go for some of that health. Sword magic.
He missed his old skills. He welcomed them back like he was at a reunion. The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark art, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it.
Let's see. Alright, should we confront some scientists? Or scientists, huh? Alright.
Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, he could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective.
Calaveras. Okay. We'll finish this chapter and then I'm gonna quickly go and come back from the store.
Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now? Thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it. The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. Can't we just agree to disagree? Said Reynardo. No?
As do I. We'll just take a little work break. Slash whatever else. Break. And then we can maybe Overwatch server.
Who needed bridges anyway?
Doing stuff properly. Variant.
Reynardo was remembering all his old tricks. A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Reynardo shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk.
By the way, this is like 3 years after we got the book. This is when this is all taking place. If you didn't catch that.
Take a leap of faith, said the inscription. The Nexus Observatory had the Empire's most renowned scientists, working by themselves without interference. At least, so far.
Alright, what do you think? Should we make Fire Sword or upgrade this sword? We're only 2 ore away from being able to make either one of them afterwards. Alright.
His trusty old sword was always a little better when he sharpened it.
So now, I can heal. What are we?
Hated warlocks, the way they stayed back and lobbed pain and death from a distance. Cowards. Really dangerous, effective cowards. Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, the Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed. Irving still believes in string theory.
At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use.
Okay, wait. Am I able? Oh. Okay, what do you think? To Calaveras? Or just bring it to the rebel base? What do you think? What do you think?
Unless you're just fine with leaving it here. Calaveras? Okay.
Renato was about to leave when he was stopped by one of the scientist toads.
There is something else you should know. There are rumors the Ravens are searching for an ancient artifact on a nearby desert island. There are legends of something called the Iblis Stone, a gem of great and evil power.
Where is this island? Asked Renato.
Yeah, sort of that way?
Said the toad, pointing vaguely west. The fleet was already there. There was nothing Renato could do about it. For the moment. Well, he should have known he'd have to consult Calaveras again. The scientists at the observatory were smart enough. But what did they know of the Transcendent Emperor? He hoped it wouldn't delay him too long. The rebels had scheduled the final battle soon. Every day they delayed risked the exposure of the secret base. And some soldiers were already drifting back to their homes and families. Calaveras would fix the Sky Ripper for him. And then he would win the final battle.
Or not.
Maybe it was the cold. But after a few steps, Renato's optimism started to slump. What if Calaveras couldn't help? Did Renato dare use the Sky Ripper? Oh, he hated that he had chosen this path. It was so much simpler to rescue friends and attack enemies, even if some of those friends were more trouble than his enemies. Some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay, it wasn't all that much simpler, no. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least, he was sure of.
What would this do though?
This chest was really awesome. See what I did there?
God damn it.
Renato wondered if he could learn to cook this way. Probably not.
I have to quickly go to the store, so maybe we'll quickly take a little pause break here. Alright. Okay. Then I'll do Sky.